Hi there, welcome to, Hi there, my name is Bridget and this is my first YouTube video. So welcome to my channel. I get a good amount of people that kind of message me and just kind of have questions here and there about my autoimmune disease or just kidneys related stuff. I was diagnosed with Goodpasture Syndrome in 2010. I was 13 years old. It was actually, I would just turn 14, a month after my 14th birthday. I had the flu for a couple months. I was just very sick. I was fatigued. I remember just for a couple months, I just was really tired. I was going to the doctors. They were just like, your asthma's acting up. It's allergies. It's the flu. I remember going to the emergency room one time and they were like, oh, you have kidney stones. So I was admitted to the hospital and they treated me for kidney stones. They were just making up tons of excuses. We could never find the cause of the problem. And Thanksgiving Day, I went to Thanksgiving dinner with my family and I saw my aunts and uncles that I hadn't seen in a while, and they told my mom that I just looked really pale, that I needed to go back to the emergency room as soon as possible. I just did not look right. So next morning I woke up and it was just like any other day, went on MySpace, checked my page and everything, and got ready, headed over to the emergency room. Within about 30 minutes, they told me I was in kidney failure. And at 14, I had no idea what that meant. I was like, all right, cool, give me my pills, some fluids, I'm gonna go home, I got plans later tonight. Little did I know, that was not what was happening. Within an hour, I was transferred to Loma Linda. They were gonna find a place at Loma Linda for me or at Chalk. They were gonna have to airlift me to Chalk if Loma Linda didn't have any availability, but they did, so I was able to just get transferred over there from Pomona Valley. Pomona Valley didn't have any nephrology department that could take care of me properly, so I had to get transferred to Loma Linda. So within about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I was hooked up to countless amounts of tubes, doctors in and out of the hospital. I remember getting transferred to Loma Linda and still thinking none of it, and going into the room and oh wow, this is a really big emergency room. This whole room is all to myself. And I did not know what was going on. I just knew that something wasn't right. I remember my mom left and she came back and she was crying and she was just like, your aunts and cousins are on their way. And I was like, it's probably not a good thing. So at that moment I knew it just wasn't a flu. It wasn't something that was gonna go away fast. So within about an hour after arriving to Loma Linda, they hooked me up to countless amounts of tubes and just had so much stuff that they had to do. They really couldn't explain. The nurse was like, this is kind of what's gonna happen. And yeah, I didn't understand anything she said. I was just kind of like, they have to do what they have to do. Okay. So I remember that night being very painful and just very stressful. I had so much potassium in my system. They needed to make sure I wasn't gonna have a heart attack. So they had to hook me up to tons of machines and just everything to get all this out of my body. They hooked me up to dialysis immediately when I arrived at Loma Linda. They put a temporary cath in my leg, started plasmapheresis right away, blood transfusions. It was so much happened so fast, I couldn't even fathom what was going on. It was so much for me. And it was kind of just literally within a day, my whole life had changed. I woke up and I was no longer a normal high school student, just soccer player ready to go live my life and start high school. I was end-stage renal failure, Goodpasture Syndrome, on dialysis, on chemotherapy, looking at a completely different life. It was so scary. I think the scariest thing for me there was never a time when I thought I was going to die or lose my life. I just slowly saw my friends fall out of my life, and I played soccer for 9 years, so I couldn't do any physical sports anymore. I could barely get out of bed. So just watching myself fall apart, watching my friends go on and continue their high school life and their normal life was what really triggered and made me realize that I wasn't normal anymore, that things were different, that this was gonna be a completely different life than what I was used to. And I even remember when I was like half asleep and I was like, gosh, I'm so hungry. And I was like, all I want is chili cheese fries. And my mom was like, I don't think that you can have that. I don't think that's part of the diet. And I was like, diet? Like, I'm not on a diet. Like, what? And yeah, little did I know there was a whole diet that was part of this. Like minimal phosphorus, minimal potassium. I couldn't have soda, chocolate, dairy, cheese. There was a whole other world I was entering into. And at 14, it was crazy. I was just a little baby getting ready to just start high school and live life like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel had showed me, and that was not what I had gotten. I got the real world slapped right across my face, and you know, it was insane. My main reason I wanted to do this video is because I want to explain what the disease is. I want to explain what I went through. The disease is extremely rare. It's 1 in 2 million. It normally affects men over the age of 60. When I was first diagnosed, the closest person I could find was in the UK, and they barely had any information on it. It was impossible to find people that had this illness. It was impossible to find any information on it. And whenever people message me and have questions about it, I love being able to know that I can help people in any way possible. There's still so many problems with this disease that people do not have answers for. And I think maybe just sharing my story and what I've been through can help people, because the doctors, whenever I explain my side effects, it's just, I always hear it's not normal, it's not common. But when I talk to people that have the same disease as I do, and there's little groups here and there, they come to me with similar symptoms, and I realize that it may not be common in the doctor's terms, but with this disease that they haven't studied much, it is common, and it is our life, and it's what we have to deal with. And it really sucks because the doctors that don't have the knowledge on these diseases, they claim it as not common or it's not real because they don't know anything about it. And that's what I struggled with for such a long time, and I still struggle till this day with unanswered things. I have nausea every day. I have seizures, and I'm not epileptic. I have seizures in my sleep. I have had a grand mal seizure 2.5 years ago. All these things that are unexplainable. And I know a couple people as well with this autoimmune disease that have had similar problems. And before it was always your blood pressure is the cause of your seizures, your kidneys the causes of this, it's the levels of your phosphorus, it's the levels of your potassium, it's all these different things, but they were never actual answers. They were just little things that after a while they were debunked. They were never actually answers. The high blood pressure went away. I ended up having low blood pressure, so why were the seizures still happening? Just so many things that happen, and it's crazy. But I really just want to start this channel to talk to people and explain what I went through. This is just my first video, kind of explaining a little short bit that I was 13 when I was diagnosed, 14 when I was diagnosed with my Goodpasture Syndrome. And it changed everything. I plan to make a couple more videos, like a Q&A about just everything. I have a couple messages from people that people have sent to me in my DMs, so I think I'm gonna go based off those. I'll probably do a couple more Q&As off of the Facebook group that I have. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make another video more in depth about what I went through. I'll probably make a couple more videos about exactly what Goodpasture Syndrome is, exactly what dialysis is, chemotherapy, plasmapheresis, just kind of everything. I plan to touch base on basically everything that this disease has, and the trauma that it brings. And yeah, I'm very excited to start this channel. And please, if you have any questions, anything, ask them below. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.